Hey everyone, it's Matt here. I know you're probably used to Brian's voice for these little announcements, but we thought we'd change things up a little bit. And just let you know that we are going to be taking a little bit of a break after this episode. It was like a natural stopping point, being the last of the Rob Zombie films and then going into the final trilogy. So we will actually be back on the 16th of January with Halloween, the third Halloween film called Halloween, the 2018 one. So yeah, enjoy this, and we will see you next year. Well, not see.
I wish we were doing a podcast on Super Bowl shows. But we're not, and we should get started.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are both ready?
Yep.
So, hi, welcome to Binge Buddies, Bad Days in Haddonfield. With me, your host, as always, Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Matt, Zombie Dog, Stu Macher, Dykes.
Stu Macher.
Yeah.
Like Schumacher.
I don't remember how to pronounce his last name. I'm just still going with Scream names because the Scream list is much easier to go off of. And then we also have Joel, Amber, Freeman, DeWitte.
I don't.
She in Scream as well.
She sure is in Scream as well.
At least when we were doing Peacemaker, they were fun, like superhero.
Yeah, remember when these nicknames were creative? They weren't just other names.
I can't help it that Scream named their slasher something boring, but I gotta.
You could use something else.
I mean, I could, but I already had the list open. The page is already here. I'll do something better next week, probably. Not.
Are you just like like the quality of your nicknames are matching the quality of the film? Because I understand it if that's the case.
I mean, my nicknames were better than this movie. Come on, we don't need to be that mean. Amber Freeman.
I mean, at least these names are forgettable.
Yeah, that's true. You won't forget this movie.
No, this is burned to my brain forever.
Yeah, I'm trying to forget it.
So while recording episode 5 of this show, we realized there was a bit of a lull. We kind of ran out of gas, and there's just nothing really to talk about. Like, this is kind of a rough episode to record, and then our audio went right along with us, and that was also dog shit. So it's just kind of rough times in the Bad Days in Haddonfield. Then we get Halloween 2. Our audio is better, still not up to our old standards, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with it. I'm moving past it. But my God, do we have a movie to talk about? I don't think this will be a boring episode, everybody, because it certainly wasn't a boring movie. You can say a lot of things about Halloween 2. Boring is not one of them. Any disagreement there out of the gate?
I'm with you.
Tedious at times.
Tedious, sure. Tedious, I can see. Yeah, I'll give you tedious.
But not boring.
Redundant even. I'll give you all those. Boring?
Yep.
Nope. Not boring.
No, not boring.
So we'll do this.
I'm just looking through some of my frigging notes on this film, and like it's very indicative of my attitude towards it because they're just so fucking. I've literally got 1, 2, 3 times I put what the fuck is happening.
And now again, for clarity's sake, Matt watched the director's cut. Joel and I watched the theatrical cut.
I also watched this before the first movie.
Yeah, he also watched it out of order, so we're all over the board on this fucking thing.
I think Joel would probably have a lot of notes in there that are just basically what is going on?
Why?
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
Before we jump into Joel's notes, let's do our quick round the table of how did we feel about watching this one? This will actually kind of speak to Joel's notes as well. I'll dive in if you haven't caught my drift yet. I actually kind of enjoyed this rewatch in a weird, like, glutton for punishment sort of way of like, I know what I'm sitting down for this time, so it's impossible to be disappointed by it because there's nothing, like, I know exactly what it is. And coming at it from like more of like a positive light made it a more enjoyable watch. Still a bad movie. It didn't really climb much for me in the rankings. It's probably not dead last anymore, I'll give it that much, but it's still very near the bottom of the pack. But Matt, what about you?
I think I'd rather watch Halloween Resurrection again because at least it's shorter and I'm wasting less time of my life.
Sure. Yeah, I can give you that.
Because at least I could just have it on as well. And it's like I'm only using up an hour and a half where I just fuck around on my phone whilst it's on and pretend to watch it. We're not talking like a Clockwork Orange scenario here where they've got like, my eyes are taped up and that I have to watch it.
Joel, you more in my camp or more in Matt's?
So trying to think about how to express
how do I express my utter disdain?
I don't outright hate the movie. I don't. I think if Halloween 1 was brutal, that this movie is disgustingly painful to watch. And it's a weird juxtaposition is in that, especially now that I have context of the first movie, you can see the through line where this would be the natural progression about how somebody like Rob Zombie might interpret this character to me, or at least like a logical progression from their first film.
Logical progression: ghost mom and a horse.
Okay, not that. But I mean, so that part I do agree was just plugged in, and I don't know if he had listened to Deftones before making this film or what, but
just really need to give his wife a job.
Yeah, that too.
I thought he'd been watching Blade Runner and thought, oh, that horse is cool.
Yeah.
That your unicorn's cool. Oh, I'm going to use that.
I guess what I mean is more in terms of like more broadly, how he made it very familial. They lean in heavily into the link that him and Laurie have, and then the brutality is just cranked up to 20. And dark, so dark. I mean, it didn't help I had to do a double feature of these movies last night to catch up.
Rough double watch.
But
even in watching the correct order, it's a tough double watch.
But the most damning praise I can give of this is that it sat with me. Like I was lying in bed thinking about these two movies last night. Just like my head was swimming. I would think about these kills and I would just like feel it in my chest. And I think it is successful in what I think Rob Zombie was trying to do. I do not think it was successful in telling a great cohesive story.
I think that's a really good review. And I would agree with you with pretty much everything you said. Like, cause I don't think the progression of violence, I think, is right there. The ghost mom and the horse, I think, was Rob Zombie just stepping a little too far. I honestly don't even mind like the crazy dream opening sequence. Like I know Matt hated it, but like, I think it helped walking into it, knowing this time that I'm watching a 15-minute dream sequence to open the movie.
Well, and it makes total sense that it's a dream sequence because the first stretch of that movie feels like a conclusion.
Yeah.
It feels like the end of a Halloween movie, not the beginning of it. And that was part of, other than the obvious, why I was a little confused, is just it felt out of order. I was like, they're gonna kill her this quickly in the movie. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm okay with the dream sequence.
No, I'm not. Fuck this film. We know. Like, like it really annoyed me because it reminds me so much of like, one of the things that I learned very early at school, like in year 2 or something. So I was been about 8 or 9. We were given like half of a story and then told to finish it off. And I always remember, like, at the time, I basically wrote that it was a dream. And I remember the comment that I got was like, you don't have that much story and just have it as a dream. It's basically, this is quite a deep thing for an 8-year-old to get a comment back on a story. But basically, like, you wouldn't have all of this set up if you do it as a dream. It's just going to be disappointing. And that's always stuck with me. So whenever I see dream sequences in any sort of like film, TV series, there has to be a purpose behind it. And it's the fact that if it just like, making it a dream just to get yourself out of a corner, I always find it like very sort of like lazy writing, and the fact that this one goes on so long, it's, you know, dream sequences can be really powerful when they're trying to put in like trauma, but it's like, it's not just a scene and then she wakes up. It's a full-on sequence. You have them,
Oh yeah.
you know, she's in the hospital, she's runs out of the hospital, she's hiding, and then the guy comes up and then like gets the axe in her, and then he walks in, and all of a sudden, then it's a dream. And it's like, if they'd have just had the bit in the hospital and then that's a dream, fine. Like, you know, I don't have a problem with that. It's the fact that it's not all contained in that one location. It goes, you know, outside the hospital into that little thing, and it just keeps going and going and going, and then all of a sudden it's a dream. It soured me on the rest of the film a little bit, to be honest, because it's just like, well, if you're gonna just fucking do that as a dream, then, you know, I was half expecting everything else to be like, oh, that's just a dream as well, and it's just it annoyed me, I think, and it put, like I said, it's sort of like put me in a sour mood for the rest of the film.
See,
I don't think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Joel.
All I was going to say is that this movie in particular, by comparison, they tried to go with the sort of psychological horror, more so than the slasher. So it does not mate with what the series typically is. I think, like, to your point, Rob Zombie has a problem with paring back things so they're crisp and clean and snappy and quick, right? And I think this is pure Rob Zombie from the two films I've seen, where he overindulges himself in the sequences he creates, to where it is that kind of bloat, to where, to your point, maybe if it was just like a 5-minute sequence before waking up, you could then tie that into the broader story about Laurie's psychological horror and trying to cope with PTSD and stuff. But I'm with you on the length of that, at least.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the length. I think it comes from a place of, again, Rob Zombie really enjoying the original movies, and just he's wanting his cake, he can't have it and eat it too. So he's like, I want to remake Halloween 2, but I also have to make a sequel to my movie. So I'm going to try to get as much of Halloween 2 in here as I can and try to make it my own at the same time. So he still wants the hospital sequence. He still wants the stalk in the hospital. He still wants to kill. He really, really wants to murder Academy Award winner Octavia Spencer, and he sure fucking does. But like you get this.
Yeah, when I first saw her, I was like, I recognize her. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, because at first I was thinking it was she plays Amanda Waller.
Viola Davis,
yeah. Because I was like, I was putting that sort of like a connection of like, oh, this is an award-winning actor, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And then I think it's like, so I was like combining the two, and then like I always seem to mix them up a little bit anyway, because I always think it's Viola Davis who's in The Shape of Water, but it's Octavia Spencer who's in that as well. Yeah,
that's a fucking brutal kill. Like, that's one of the most brutal stabbings I think I've ever seen. Like, good Lord.
Like up her fucking face, and it's like through the nose.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Like, Jesus. But like, as far as like the dream sequence goes, like, it, for me, recontextualizing this movie as less of a slasher and more like what Joel was saying, the psychological horror. And it's really like, it's trying to play with that like descent into madness for Laurie a little bit, and then they kind of stop doing it in the latter half of the movie, and that's where it kind of, for me, stops working as much. But in the beginning, where it's like he is in her head, like, so like you have to sit with this nightmare as long as she has to sit with this nightmare. So it's torturous for her, it's torturous for you. And I'm not always the biggest fan when directors try to do this, and I could be giving him way more credit than he deserves. But to me, this feels like one of those sequences where he wants his audience to be like, I need this shit to end. I need this to stop. I'm tired of looking at it. It's brutal. It's uncomfortable. And especially the way that this is the way this movie starts. And since you don't know it's a dream, you don't know it for so long, it's setting the tone for this is going to be an incredibly brutal, relentless movie. It's not going to stop. And then when you find out it's a dream, you get that moment of like, okay, so now we're going to start having a movie. I don't think he nailed the execution on this. I think it's a bit of a mess, but I do kind of see what he was going for, at least what I think he was going for, which I might be, like I said, I might be giving him a little too much credit.
I think purposely painful, from the little I've seen, kind of mates up with his ethos, right?
Yeah.
I think that made sense. Like, you think about one of those earlier deaths where it's the two morgue people driving his body somewhere, and then
Oh god,
the cow crash.
the necrophile guy.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah, we've talked about
the
disgusting.
cow and the driver are super fucking dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they just sit on the passenger for a minute of him just choking and spewing blood and fuck.
That's the theatrical cut. Matt had to sit with that even longer. That keeps going in the director's cut.
Yeah. It keeps going and going. I'm sitting there going, why am I? This has been like 2 minutes of this guy just going fuck.
So that is one very clear. Like, this feels like Hostel. Yeah. I mean, it is that lingering on the suffering, but not even that. A lot of the kills in these movies are fantastical, and so you can kind of suspend disbelief a bit. This is like he got fucked up in a car crash. He is pinned and stuck. He's bleeding. He's probably just going to die here suffering.
Yeah.
And
then Michael picks up a piece of glass and beheads him.
Which in some ways is probably a mercy kill.
Yeah.
but that was terrible too, because they had like a sawing sound as he was doing that. It just absolutely awful to watch.
I mean, we've talked about this about these films in the past. Like, they're not always necessarily visually brutal, but the sound design is always audibly brutal, and it's especially true in these two films as well. Like the stabbing sounds. I'm watching these, I'm thinking, yeah, they're stabbing like some sort of melon or something to get those sounds, because you can really hear it sort of like penetrating the flesh and like viscera and stuff like that.
Yeah,
or they just actually killed someone. I don't know. It's
they just buy a butchered pig and go at it.
It might be pig flesh. Like, that would not surprise me if Rob Zombie's like, no, I'm actually stabbing flesh. Get these fucking melons out of here.
It's like, I'm having a pig roast tonight. Bring in the pig.
But yeah, so the fucking guy, I hate that sequence. That's probably my least favorite sequence in the movie, is the guy just going fuck. Well, I hate it. I just hate it.
I just hate that guy though. He's like, what is with these characters in these Rob Zombie films? Of like,
what is with that actor in every movie he's in? He's fucking gross and doomed too.
I mean, to be fair, that actor just looks like some sort of sex murdery person or something. Like, he just, no offense to him, I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
No offense to you, you look like a sex murderer.
but he just looks like a serial killer. No offense, I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Now, how do you feel if you were that guy and then being typecast as that?
Yeah, I think I'd say some offense taken.
Either that, or he's like, well, I'm doing a good job, obviously.
But last week's movie, you didn't feel you felt like a comeuppance for some of the kills in the start. For terrible people doing what they deserve, and this guy's getting what he deserves, but it sits on the torture and suffering too long where you can't enjoy it.
It's just
even longer in the version I saw as well.
I mean that the zombie dog cut. Yep.
Yeah.
But so now that we're kind of like, Laurie's awake, we're in the future now, and everything's sort of fine-ish. We get this thing. I said ish. We get this thing in the movie that it drove Chewie up the fucking wall as we're watching it. Joel's a big fan of Lord of the Rings. I think we all are a little bit, but we all know the common complaint in Lord of the Rings of it's just a lot of walking. I disagree with that statement, and I think anyone who has that statement over Lord of the Rings can go fuck themselves. When it comes to Halloween 2, they might be onto something. There is so many shots of Michael Myers wandering through a field.
Yeah.
And it does lead to one of the best murder parties, so I'm kind of okay with it. I love the murder party of the random farmers showing up to say, get out of our field. Like, just driving like the fucking truck full of antlers. Like,
I thought it was my favorite first.
My favorite moment might be in that sequence, to be honest. But it's just weird, and like the Halloween theme is just gone. Instead of, we've just got this weird, moody kind of like whoa, 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 whoa. It's like there's no. It just does not feel like a Halloween film anymore. It just like you said, it just feels like a Rob Zombie torture porn film.
Yeah. But it's I don't disagree with that, but it's also a pretty well shot, fun, stabby action sequence. Like, yes, it's also a little torture porny, but it is also like I love this shot, like, of the silhouette of him picking up the mask and like putting it on in the field. Like, all right, it's fucking go time. Like, it is. It's a fun sequence. Like, it's really one of the only fun like murder sequences, at least to me, in the whole movie. Like, because he just fucking destroys them.
That's the thing. Like, I think it would have been more fun if he just destroyed the two guys. But the fact that the woman who's actually there going, "Oh, you okay? I'm sorry," and then she gets really fucked up and killed as well. It's just like, it's not fun anymore, because, like, you've got this person who's like showing some sympathy towards him, trying to help, and then she's getting brutally murdered, like, not in just a quick way as well. It's like, again, there's so much sort of focus on the brutality of that kill.
Yeah. But this is also, it's kind of a different Michael than last week. Like, this Michael he's angrier. He is far more stabby. Like, he is kind of done. I think getting the rejection of his sister in the last movie was any last even like microbe of like humanity he had left is now gone. Like, this isn't the Michael who's going to reach out and say like, "Hey, you're my sister" anymore. He is there to fucking murder and listen to his ghost mom. Like, that is the only two things in his mind. And I think with that in mind, it makes sense. Like, it doesn't matter that she was nice to him because it's not ghost mom. Therefore, she has to die, and as brutally as possible, because that's how he does everything now. So, like, I agree with what you're saying. It does kind of suck the fun out of it, but I also don't think that makes it's not a knock against the movie for me. I think it's still doing what it needs to do.
I think this more even than last week, there's no fun to be had in this movie. Like, it's not about being fun, and it goes back into him leaning into such of the darkness of what Halloween could be, that it's just a big void. This entire movie is a void.
Yeah, I can see that. And I will, disgustingly say, I still have fun with the beginning of that sequence. Just the second the antler truck shows up, I'm like, "Oh, that's just a people cushion." Like, that's someone's getting stuck on that. I know what's going to happen.
They're doing this psychic link stuff between Michael and Laurie again as well.
Is that like when he's eating the dog and she starts throwing up?
And she starts throwing up. It's just a bit like, what is going on here? Do you know what I think? I was just thinking about this just now. Well, not just now, but when Joel mentioned about it being more of a psychological thriller, I think what they should have done with this one is like lean more into the psychological elements of it, and actually have Michael not actually the killer, is not still alive, but have it just like where we're in Laurie's broken psyche, and you've got that split personality where she's actually the one doing the killing. I think it probably would have worked better that way.
Gee, I have a movie for you. Just keep watching the Halloween franchise. Sooner or later, you're going to get your wish.
Oh God.
I think I do agree with you, generally speaking, that it's trying to toe a line between the two, and it works in some places and it doesn't in others. I also think if you go full tilt into the psychological stuff, people will be like, "Wait, where's the kills?" Like,
but that's the thing, you could still have the kills, but it's just like, you could still have Michael Myers doing them. Yeah. But then when you actually, like, towards the end, you begin to unravel it and you find out that actually it's Laurie that's doing it.
Yeah.
As she's actually got this fractured reality, this fractured personality, that's the intense trauma. If you're gonna do psychological thriller, really lean into it. Like, you could make so much more of those sequences where she's speaking to Lois Lane in the psychiatrist office thing, and because you've got the sort of like, the white horse thing on the Rorschach ink blot. Yep. And it's like, you could have made more of that. If you're gonna have this sort of like white horse thing, make it more of a thing. Like, as far as I can tell, that's the only time that Laurie actually sees the white horse thing that's not like...
Doesn't she see it at the end?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like,
Yeah.
then you see it at the end where it's like it's actually there, but you could have made something more of that where she's seeing it in like logos on shops fronts and things like that. Do like really sort of more subtle stuff, like the psychological elements. It's trying to be like two different things. I think the film feels like in one hand it's trying to be a psychological thriller, and then in another hand it's trying to be this sort of gory slasher torture porn film, and the two don't really mix. Like, Silence of the Lambs is a perfect example of this. It's pure psychological horror, and it does it so well. It doesn't have to lean into the gore, and it's not really that gory as Silence of the Lambs, but it feels it. You have this intense.
You're talking about
horror.
Best Picture nominee Silence of the Lambs and comparing it to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Yeah, it was a better movie, Matt.
Yeah, I know. I'm just sort of saying that, like, if he made a conscious decision to try and go down a more psychological horror route. So lean into it. Like, if you're gonna go down a psychological horror route, look to things like Silence of the Lambs to get like a bit more inspiration of what you could do. Like, you don't have to, that's where I think the film really suffers, because it's got these contrasting story types it's trying to go for. It's trying to be psychological, but it's also trying to be super gory, super torture porny,
But here's the thing, I don't disagree with really anything you're saying. But at the same time, like, I think part of why I enjoyed this rewatch so much more is I could appreciate the fact that, like, this is not a very well-seasoned director. I think this is his third movie, maybe fourth. And he's given a lot of money to make it. Like, they rolled out a red carpet for this movie, and he made choices. Were they good choices? I don't know, but like, he legitimately made choices, and like, he stuck with them. Like the psychic link, he sticks with it. The ghost mom and the horse, and then eventually even kid version of Michael, he sticks with that. They are with it the whole movie, whether you like it or not. So, like, as much as I can knock it for it not working as well as I think he hoped it would, I still appreciate, especially this late in a franchise. I mean, Grant's kind of a reboot, so I'm not sure if that really qualifies. He made legit choices that were wildly different than anything we'd seen before, and he tried to give us something different. So, like, I can agree that he didn't stick the landing, but I'll appreciate that he took the shot.
Yeah.
But moving forward, another thing he really takes a shot at with this thing, and I this is something I don't like in this movie. I do not like Loomis. I like that I don't like Loomis in this. I do appreciate that I don't like him, because I think they did the right thing. He took his trauma and went, I'm going to profit off of this, which is a totally real thing that people do.
He's just a cunt in this film. Like,
exactly. He sucks.
That's yeah. And do you know what? I read some trivia, which it really kind of makes a lot of sense now, that he, like, Malcolm McDowell basically was using Dr. Phil as an inspiration in his character of, like, someone who just profiteers off of other people's misery and just becomes an absolute raving egomaniac.
And that's what he does. And like the sequence where he's doing the book signing, which, first off, shout out to Monroe from Grimm. If you guys haven't watched Grimm, I totally understand, but Grimm's a good show. You should watch it. But the guy who plays Monroe is like the super fan who shows up like, this guy's awesome.
I know him from like the first thing I saw him was 24. In the first season of 24, he's one of the kidnappers in that.
Yeah, very good actor. Usually plays like scuzzy guys, but like he doesn't always, and he's good. But like that sequence where the dad shows up and like, look at, you're profiting off of my dead daughter. That's a damn good scene. Like, like just through and through. And that's, I think, why I have so much problems like hating this movie. Because when the movie is working, holy shit, does it work? Mm-hmm. Like that, I need to lay into Loomis, and like, I brought a gun in case yelling at him isn't enough for me. Like, it's like he has a plan B. If I don't feel sated by screaming at him, I'm going to shoot him in the fucking face. And like, I love that.
Although there is a throwaway line where like the woman says the gun wasn't loaded, so I think he wasn't ever going to planning on killing him. I think he was just trying to get a reaction from him. Yeah, like no, I agree with you completely though. Like, especially with something like, you can imagine someone doing that in this day and age. Like, if something like that terrible happened, they'd be out on like Instagram posting pictures and shit like that, and Twitter tweeting about it. Well, for as long as Twitter's still around, that is anyway. But yeah, I like that, and I think they could have probably, like, if they'd have gone, I keep going back to the, be more like Silence of the Lambs. If they'd have done more of the psychological thriller aspect of it, they could have leaned more into that, and like, had the two juxtaposing things of like, this intensely traumatic thing happened to this person, it's destroyed their life. This person's just decided, fuck it, I'm going to make a shitload of money off of all this misery and pain. And you could have the two sort of like stories. And I like his assistant, I think, is really good, because it's kind of like it's giving the audience context as to a lot of the choices he's making. So where you have the house, for example, in the background, you say it's in bad taste and stuff like that. I wasn't sure what exact house that was at first, but then, like, when she's making the comments, you get the feelings like, oh, it's probably the house that was at the end of the film where Linda was killed and Bob was killed and everything.
Yeah, the handler. Yeah, she so one, this might be a effect of me watching this one before the first, but I do not like Loomis in this movie whatsoever. It crosses the Rubicon for me of being not like well acted, so you can put up with it. I think it's well acted, but I think it's just one step too far into the unlikable for me. And
even with,
I think that's what he was going for. Like,
So I was asking, even with the redemption at the end, because that's the only thing that makes it palatable for me, is that he eventually goes like, oh, I have been the problem.
No,
I don't even see that it's him.
I don't know.
I don't see it that way.
I felt like he was injecting himself into a situation he didn't belong in.
Yeah,
that's how I sort of perceived it.
Oh, I guess that's a fair way to take it. I'm trying to be too nice to him.
Yeah, I feel like it's all ego with him at this point.
I genuinely feel like this is his way of going, oh, I can fix my broken reputation by being the hero. I didn't see it as like, I'm trying to be the hero. I genuinely to me, I genuinely thought it was just all about him fixing his.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Well, even if he meant well, to your point, Brian, I guess the way I interpret it too is just like he has so much ego that he thinks he's the only one that can stop it, which I get to some degree. That's how Loomis was in the first movie, but they set him up as a likable character in the original series, right?
I mean, Loomis in the original series he would like the Loomis in the original series. Yeah, he would never do.
He's a failed hero, but he's a hero.
Yeah,
he wouldn't ever go like write a book and profit off of it. Like as we see him in Halloween 6, he's just he just sort of becomes a recluse and just goes off into the background.
Other thing, I'd be okay never seeing Chris Hardwick again.
Was that who that was?
Yeah,
I knew I recognized him from somewhere.
Yeah, he's got a veneer of smarm to him that I just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he got me too, and that wasn't that shocking when that happened. It's like, oh yeah, you are kind of a creep. We always kind of knew it. But hey, Weird Al was in this movie, so we might have to deal with Chris Hardwick, but at least we got Weird Al.
I loved that. Like, it's so random and just off the wall that he's there, but I loved it. He's so good in this. Oh yeah, and like. And finally, someone's gone. Wait, are you talking about the Michael Myers, Austin Powers guy?
Yeah.
Finally, someone has finally said it.
I love that I have a note in my notes here going, "Hey kids, remember Weird Al was in a Halloween movie." We skipped over some of the kills, and I'm still kind of okay with that. I don't remember which one it was, but I had the line of Jesus, the naked lady is dead.
It's the stripper. It's the stripper.
Club. That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
what was fact. That?
I had a
quick fun fact before we move on or get to that. The strip club owner, I know
Daniel
him.
Roebuck. He's Daniel Roebuck.
I know him from the Grumpy Cat Christmas movie. That was my first exposure to him.
Fantastic.
The Fugitive. He's one of the U.S. Marshals in The Fugitive.
Oh yeah, that too. Yep.
I haven't seen that movie.
What? You have not seen The Fugitive? Holy crap! Like,
I think Brian's not surprised, but he's disappointed.
Yeah, definitely both.
It's like it's Andrew Davis's love letter to Chicago as
It was
well.
Andrew Davis.
The director,
Okay.
the guy who directed it. He basically, I remember watching that with the commentary, and he basically at the end of it says, "Oh, this was such a love letter to Chicago," because he's from Chicago as well, and he's like, "I need to shoot more films in Chicago."
Matt, did you know that there's more to Illinois than Chicago?
Is there? Really?
Yeah.
No.
It's you just need to understand that anything south of the Quad City border is the Confederacy. So
That's
what's Quack City? Is that like where all the ducks live? Quack City.
Quad.
Oh, it sounded like it said Quack City.
It's the number 4, but there's actually like 5 or 6 of them. Don't worry about it. It's a whole Quad City. Well, that's it for a different podcast. Let's jump back into this because we accidentally skipped over what I thought was some very important stuff. And that was, what the fuck was that conversation in the strip club? For one, I'm just going to kind of let that go. Just going to kind of leave that note out there because it made no fucking sense. But him going out to the dumpster and running into Michael is one of my favorite sequences in the movie. I know I said that about the farm sequence, but I really love him trying to pick a fight with Michael. Because it's just
really,
like,
I was really
what are you doing?
I was hoping they're gonna pull a Coolio and have him walk away again.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, fine.
I like that you called Busta Rhymes Coolio. But
I did wonder who he was on about. I was thinking, is he on about Busta Rhymes?
Whatever. They're all late 90s, early 2000 rappers.
Yeah. but
my
no, I agree.
comment...
That would have been hilarious. But that's definitely not this version of Michael Myers.
No.
My one bullet point on that whole sequence, though, is just basically the head stomping in Drive was better.
Oh god, the head stomping in Drive is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
My point of reference was American
History X.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the Kirby.
Yeah. So much good head stomping in movies.
Yeah.
I was just thinking Gears of War. It's actually probably closer to Gears of War than the other ones. It does go just the same way.
Probably the same sound effect.
It might be. But I also really liked it's a good murder. It's a good what are you doing, dude? Why would you fight him? He looks like a wall.
I know, like
he's
got at least a foot on him.
Yeah. And my note for that sequence was, how does he not know this is a bad fight to pick? Now he knows. Now he knows nothing.
Yeah.
There he goes. But all right, so moving forward a little bit, we're getting nearer and nearer to the end of this movie. We're getting closer to when Annie dies, and it's horrible and it's sad. But the one thing I want to mention that this series has that the other one doesn't, and I think it's done extremely well. It makes me wish it was in the original series, is Laurie finding out that Michael is her brother.
Yes.
We missed that in the original John Carpenter run of this because we never find out in Halloween 2. Like, we find out as the audience, but Laurie never finds out on screen. And we don't hear her talk about it until all the way down to H2O. And
then it feels weird.
And it feels weird. It's very commonplace. So just like, oh yeah, my brother killed my sister and tried to kill me. Like, it's just kind of funny, weird sequence. This one, we get the full weight of the emotion of like, hey, that guy who murdered your friend and really, really tried to murder you and your other friend, it's your brother. That's what was going on when he's showing you that picture. He was trying to relate to you. Hey, maybe you could have stopped it. Enjoy all that bullshit swimming around in your head. Like, it's fantastic.
And the fact that it came from Dr. Loomis, his book, the person who sort of saved her, at least made every effort to save her.
Gave her a window to save herself, at least.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it is a form of betrayal, right? And so it's an added wrinkle. I did like how she sort of gravitated herself toward the book, just because it was, you know, I have not experienced that level of trauma, but I imagine it is a sort of situation where you sort of can't help but head towards the train wreck.
Yeah.
Because it's something that is, your whole life is so focused around at that point, right?
It's that old thing of like, you know, it's so bad that you can't look away, I think.
Yeah.
It feels very much like that, you know, you can't look away. So it's like, you know, you're just going to dive deeper into it. But yeah, the bit where you see her reading the book in the car and then she just sort of like starts screaming and stuff like that. And that is a really powerful moment. Like this film is, it's got a couple of really powerful moments in it. It's just a shame the rest of it is
So
such
insane.
a mess.
It's
such
insane.
a mess. Like I said, like I keep going back to it, but if it was more the psychological thriller side, there's so many elements in there that would have worked so much better if they'd have leaned more towards a psychological thriller.
But we
elements.
haven't even here. We're just gonna jump to it. Like this movie has, I don't think Rob Zombie will direct a better sequence in his entire career than the death of Annie and her dad finding her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God,
like both of them together. So like we have
that
Laurie,
was
who's
so hard to watch.
so
was a
insanely hard.
It was a
But,
different kind of weight than this series usually gives.
Yeah. So we have the series of Laurie finding out that Michael's her brother and her reacting in a very normal way for a 20-something-year-old to find out, which is fuck it, I want to forget. I'm gonna go out partying. And while she's out partying, her friend, the one who went through it with her, is running into the same demon who tried to kill her last time, and he's gonna fucking do it this time. And I'm talking specifically about the theatrical because I don't remember in the director's cut if you see it, but in the theatrical's cut, you don't see her die.
No,
you just have to hear it. So while Laurie's out partying, you just get the audio of Annie getting murdered, and it's fucking awful.
See, I think I'm trying to remember like how it, because in the version I watched, the director's cut, it does this quite a lot. Is when there's murders going on, you don't hear it, you see it happening, but then there's other sounds going on behind it. It's either like silence and or like a bit of music or something. But you don't actually hear the screaming and stuff like that, and then you get like flashes of sound.
So I think that was masterfully done, and I had the same reaction. But that alone's great. But when they tie it back to when Laurie gets to the house and the flashes of what actually happened there start appearing, that's the closed loop I needed to be like, okay, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, like it's like I said, I don't think Rob Zombie will do anything better in his career, and I don't mean that as a knock against him, because I'm saying it's done so insanely well. It might be one of the best murder sequences in the Halloween franchise. Like all of the both Annie dying, and then when Brad Dourif shows up and tries to win an Academy Award in fucking Halloween 2. Like his performance is so insanely good. Like you feel it in your soul. Like
I think his performance throughout the whole film is just amazing.
Yeah,
like
him desperately trying to get in front of the news, like trying to like, Annie, I need you to find Laurie. I need to talk to her. Like just trying to get in front of it. Like that is so good.
He gets the Donald Pleasance Award for, dude, you don't need to try this hard in this film. I wonder if he was having as much wine as Donald Pleasance did.
Maybe. Halloween movies need one drunk old guy to just deliver an amazing performance. But it is like, it's so good. Like the moment the cops like, you don't want to go up there, and as we as the audience, we've been up there. We see yet again Annie's on the floor, naked, covered in blood, except this time she's not making it. And like you just know it because Laurie's already been there. We've seen her die. Maybe Laurie could have put some pressure on some of those wounds instead of just crying at her. You know, maybe she would have made it, but no, way to go, Laurie. But we've seen that room. We've seen the blood everywhere. We've seen the result of Ghost Mom saying, "Now have some fun," and it's just disgusting. But yeah, I don't. It's kind of unfortunate because I could turn the movie off at that point and feel sated. Like, all right, I saw enough of this movie, because everything after that, it's kind of all downhill. Like, it's not bad per se. Like, we have her in the house. We have Michael kind of going nuts. We have her full blown seeing Ghost Mom and the horse now too. Like, she's seeing them as well, and they're telling her she's not ready for it, whatever it is.
This is where I keep coming back to on this whole the psychological horror element of it, and it would be so much better if Michael is actually dead and it turns out that it's actually Laurie and her personality, her psyche's split, because this ending would work so much better if that's the case, because all of that would actually start to make sense. At the way it is now, it's just so fractured and weird and makes no sense.
But it feels like they were trying to set that up for the next movie. If there was
100%
right.
Agree.
This is like the explanation about what was going to be the transfer of power from Michael Myers to her. And I agree with you, Matt. It was not handled well, and it was not completed well. But I can see what they were going for, right? And I feel so mixed about this because it goes back into the white horse stuff and the mommy stuff. And there are some moments where it's just like, again, this is uncomfortable. She's having her say, like, mommy, I do it. And it's this very disturbing, uncomfortable thing. And I also thought that the tension of like the police cars being all around this shack with the sheriff who just lost his daughter being an absolute wreck trying to manage this stuff works pretty decently too, but it's just a jumbled mess.
Yeah, because like it's this weird thing of like all the police are around. This is one guy with a knife. Like, it's not like he should be that hard to take down if we're trying to think of him as a human, but we just see the police essentially doing nothing but just providing really dramatic lighting with a helicopter. So it kind of,
which I genuinely thought was aliens at first. I was like, oh, so it is aliens.
Also, sorry, Haddonfield, Illinois does not have a helicopter.
No, they certainly don't. But it's this weird sort of like, what's going on with this? Because
wasn't it a news copter though?
I think so, because that's how Loomis finds out and then teleports to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, so, I was like, and then Loomis is like drives very fucking fast from wherever he was.
So the way
he'd just done a talk show, wouldn't it be in New York or Los Angeles at that point?
You'd assume, yeah. I guess he could be in Chicago, and they never established how far away Haddonfield is from Chicago. But either way, I'm guessing not 2 minutes.
So the police car pileup, I sort of took that as, sheriff being so tilted that he's like, "Fuck, I'm bringing everybody in here. We're taking this bastard down."
But that's the thing,
the sort of overkill thing.
Haddonfield is not a big town; it's a small town. Like, surely there's not that many police officers or deputies. He's a sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Deputies. Surely they don't have a sheriff's department that big. Like, we've got like 10 or 20 cars there.
But again,
that's
it's like,
so this is where you kind of have to take a logical conclusion that they brought in neighboring cities police for support. I mean, you've got you have to accept like, okay, it's probably not just this town's police force that's handling this.
Or you can just go, this is Rob Zombie. He goes visual over logic every time, and it's far more of a visuals thing to have 20 cops there than instead of 2 cops there. So like, sure. I can make it make sense, at least as like a filmmaking standpoint goes. But like, that's kind of
my mind kept going back to Friday the 13th Part 9 at that though.
Oh yeah,
that's where I kept thinking. So this is just kind of like that, the opening of Friday the 13th Part 9.
Fucking kill him already.
Yeah.
I love the opening to Part 9. But that's the one thing I will say, is we've been bringing up Friday the 13th a lot throughout this series. Halloween can stay in its lane. The mommy thing is Jason. Like, come on now. But I actually, like, it's dumb. It's very dumb. The ghost mom and putting, I don't mean to be mean to Sherry Moon. She might be a very nice woman. She's not a very good actor. And putting her in this very clutch point of like, you are the motivation for him murdering everyone. It's like, you're not doing your wife any favors. Like, that's a big part to take. And it's already written pretty poorly. There's nothing, like, you're doing her no favors. She has to do so much heavy lifting, and that she's just not the actor to do that lifting. So it's kind of a bummer. And then we bring in the other kid who's there, and it's not the kid from the first movie. And that kid was a much better actor than the kid in this movie. So that also kind of like, it's already a dumb thing in the movie. Like, and it caps off stupid here with the she's not ready. And then the Michael seeing her at all times. And then she's just always there. And like, it's just kind of unfortunate that it's just still even here at this point in the movie. But it does lead to, in the director's cut, like, Michael finally snaps at the end and he breaks down on his whole silent thing. And you can kind of see he's been mentally tortured this whole way through. So you kind of get why he's doing it, but it still is one of the absolute worst, I think, decisions Rob Zombie had. And I think the theatrical cut was very wise to remove it. But in the director's cut, he actually shouts at Loomis as he's murdering him, and he yells, "Die," right?
Yeah, he just goes, "Die," and stabs him.
Yeah. Does does not work for me at all. It did not work for me when I saw the theatrical the first time. That was really when I kind of threw in the towel. I'm like, nope, not a movie for me. Watching the theatrical one where he doesn't talk, it's a much more powerful sequence. It works better. Either way, Loomis gets fucking rocked, and since the shittiest version of Loomis, I'm kind of fine seeing him get murdered.
Yeah.
But I really wish Rob Zombie had just listened to whoever was in the room saying, you can't have him talk. Like, I know it's your own version of Michael. I know it's different. I know that he is a much more human-ish version of Michael than the kind of like curse version we had before, but it still just doesn't work.
Yeah. And it's just so weird, like, when like the police all open fire on him, they kill Michael, but then when Laurie comes out, like they shoot her as well. And it's just like,
again, director's cut.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't shoot her.
Yeah, they don't shoot her.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's only the director's cut version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, theatrical cut, they kind of reined him in just a little. Like, it's still one of the most violent slashers I've ever seen. It's still bananas. It still has ghost mom and horses and all that crazy shit. They just kind of go like, whenever Rob Zombie went, how about a little more? They went, no. So,
well, that's the thing. It's like, that's where I was sort of going on this route of it becoming more psychological with her splitting of her psyche, and she's the killer. You could have that so much more powerful at the end, where you have, in Laurie's mind, they both come out, and then it's actually, so you see Michael and Laurie together, and then Michael goes to, like, attack and get shot, but then you could have like a cut, and it's Laurie who's lying there with the knife or something like that, and you then would tie that all together. And I was sort of looking at it from this perspective, Laurie's going to die at the end of this film anyway, so
yeah.
It's just I don't know, it's just a very bizarre film on the whole. Like, my last bullet point was literally, what the fuck was that?
I kind of threw in the towel with my notes after the Annie sequence. Like, my notes just stopped there, because I knew the rest of this thing is just nuts.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Like, a lot of my notes, I forgot I was taking notes at the time, so I was just like, the amount of times I was just sitting there going, "What the hell is going on in this film? Why?" Yeah. Like, just even some of the sort of like the weird production design decisions. Like, I got to get this out because it bugged the fuck out of me. The family bathroom.
Chewie hated the shit out of that too.
All this, like, that's not what you do in a family bathroom. Like, I genuinely thought at first that she was off at college, or she had her own apartment and she just scrawled shit on the wall. Oh no, she's living with Brackett now.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's got her own bathroom. No, that's the family bathroom.
That's a family bathroom with the pentagrams and 666 and just fucking hell all written on the walls. Yeah, that's
like, what fucking family bathroom is like that? Like,
Rob
I live on my own.
Mm.
And my bathroom is not even got anything like that scroll on the walls. Maybe
you're not Rob Zombie. Thankfully.
No. I mean, if I was Rob Zombie, I probably had more money, maybe. But then I'd still be Rob Zombie, so
yeah.
No offense to Rob Zombie, but
no, I mean, and honestly, no offense to Rob Zombie, because like, I've enjoyed his two movies far more than I thought I would when we started this show. And like, these are like, last week's is pretty high in the pack for me. This one's at least low middle.
This was sort of the threshold where I came to accept that these are all different, separate, not anthologies, but like mini series of the same character being retold by different directors and people. So once I was able to compartmentalize it that way, I came to enjoy these movies even more than maybe I would if I tried to see a through line, right?
Yeah.
Just to what you said last week, he set the table in the first movie about what his Michael Myers is going to be, what his world is going to be. Mm-hmm. And to me, it makes not the horse or the mom, but the kind of character traits that Michael Myers has, Jamie, and all of them from the trauma, it makes sense to me. And it's weird. I didn't mind the sort of watching travel thing too much. I was confused for the first like part of the movie, but then once I figured out it's a road trip movie, it worked a little better for me. Not great, but it didn't grate at me like it did you guys, I guess.
I don't mind it at all, but Chewie hated it. Just absolutely, she hated the movie in general. So,
yeah.
and I honestly, if you watch this movie and you think it's the worst Halloween ever made, as I've said many times on this show until I actually had to rewatch it, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think that's a bad take on this movie. I just think it does enough well that it doesn't lower its. Now that I've actually watched all of Halloween 6, it's tough. It's very tough to be worse than that.
I am glad I watched this movie. I will
Resurrection
never watch it again.
though.
Yeah.
That's my sense on it.
You don't want to dive into the director's cut to see what Matt had to go through?
Given the events of yesterday, you're lucky I watched it.
Well, good news for you. You don't have any
recommend
homework to do next week because you've already watched next week's. And next week's is arguably like I could see it being a lot of people
way
like
better.
Number two best of the series. Like next week's is a legit good movie.
Yeah.
The drop off real rough after that, but
but you're selling these films to me so well.
I mean, I actually think Ends, like in the controversial opinions, I think Ends is a pretty good movie. Like it might be in my top 5. It might be in my top 3 if I'm thinking about it. Like Ends is it's just different. It's wildly different than what you'd expect if you'd only seen the trailer. But we'll get to Ends when we get to Ends. That's another few weeks on. Do we have anything else we need to say about this one, or should we wrap this one up too?
I'm done.
I think we've said more than I even thought possible on it.
I think I'm done as well. Like I think all I will say is I know we sort of we briefly mentioned about Annie's death, but the sequence where like fucking hell, where Brackett is like holding her and you get the flashes of her as a child with the puppy and everything like that. That's probably the most visceral emotional response any Halloween film has ever got out of me.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised actually that a film like this, like a slasher film, could get that kind of emotional response.
Yeah.
So, very well done. And I think it's really helped by the fact that it's clearly Danielle Harris as well in that footage.
Yeah.
Which it's like, it's obviously they went to her and was like, look, do you have any like home movies from when you were a kid with you like, looking cute and cuddly or something like that? And she's going, oh yeah, there's this one with this dog.
Yeah, no, it's extremely well done. Which is weird to say about anything in Halloween 2, but here we are. So speaking of which, we're going to go into favorite moments now, and mine's going to be the death of Annie. All of it that encompasses it. We spent like 20 minutes talking about it in here, so I've already explained myself. That's it. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. I would be the death of Annie as well, so I'm just going to go with something else, a little bit more funnier, I suppose. It's like the bit where the guy hits Michael with the hammer, and then he's like, "What's wrong with this son of a bitch?" It's like, you just hit him with a hammer twice. That's what's wrong with him.
And given how little it's done, you should start running. You should start running now. And he can teleport, so you're fucked, but you should still try.
Mine would be so there's this point where Laurie's in bed and she has a little stuffed animal and she's trying to sort of console herself and talk to it and in the sort of baby voice, this fucking cocksucker Michael Myers is dead, he won't get you. And then she says, you always know what to say, buddy.
We didn't really give her, I don't think, enough credit. Scout Taylor Thompson, I'm forgetting your name. So now I'm doing even more of a disservice to her.
Scout Taylor Compton.
There it is.
Compton.
I got 2 out of 3 names. It's not that bad. I think she was a great job. Joel said it last week when he said about as good as Jamie Lee Curtis in this type of role, and I think so. I think it carries over into this one too. She plays, I think, fucked up really well.
Yeah, she sold the post-traumatic stress part of the character better in this film than we got in H2O, I think. But then again, in H2O, it's a long time afterwards, so it's still kind of really raw.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the trauma side of it is done quite well. I again, more of that, please. When would have been a better film.
I mean, having had this conversation, and we're going to move into plugs after this, but having had this conversation, if I found out that after the David Gordon Green thing is all done now, if Rob Zombie came out and said, hey guys, I'm making my part 3, I'd watch it. I'd at least give it the time of day. I'm not sure if it'd be a good movie. I'd almost guarantee it'd be a bad movie. But I would still watch it. Like he has my interest enough of like, I want to see what swings you're going to take. I might not like them. I might think you missed on every swing, but I know you're going for the fences on every time.
I would just love him to say, I'm going to do my part 3 and him remake Season of the Witch.
That would be a very Rob Zombie thing to do. My
That would
God,
be hilarious. That
kid melting in front of the screen is going to be brutal.
Yeah, like alligators are going to come out and just like eat the parents.
All right, I think we've done it. I think it's time for plugs, and then we're moving into the final trilogy of the Halloween franchise, and I'm almost gonna be sad to say goodbye to it. It's been a fucking roller coaster, but we are far from done with it. So for this show, the show on the ATH Network, be sure to check out athpod.com. This, Damage Boost, Demon Days, and Joel's show,
Afterthoughts. My wife Kelly and I do a book club. I don't know what we're on yet because this is going to be weeks in the future.
June. You're on June.
It is. That is on the docket, but it's going to be like my backlog of video games. I'll get to it when I get to it.
Son of a bitch.
And my backlog's like 100 games deep that I might never get to. I don't like hearing that. Matt, what about you?
So I'm coming in early 2023. We have Science Nonfiction. It's going to be a podcast that's going to basically look at science fiction films and TV series, and we're going to analyze the science of them. I've got a regular co-host, Dr. Charlotte Gertz, and then we're going to be having guest hosts come on who are going to be talking about something that they're like a specialist in. So, for example, we have a guy coming on to speak about gravity. He's a specialist in space junk, so that should be really interesting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're getting there.
Cool. Joel, I stepped in your Super GG radio. Do you want to say something about that?
It's a video game podcast.
There's something.
You should listen to it.
Oh, you should. It's a good show. That's everything, right? We did it.
I believe so. Yeah,
I believe we've done it. All right, thank you everyone so much for listening.
Just looking forward to watching some quality films now going forward.
Well, I will say very briefly, it's too bad Ryan couldn't join us because he's got such a depth of knowledge of this stuff, and I'm sure he'd have a lot of extra detail.
I'm going to close with his quote because he wrote us a very long, beautiful thing about the first Halloween. And I didn't really read it, just kind of pulled from it to say his opinion. But he wrote us a very short thing, and this is how we're going to say goodbye. Halloween 2 is a psychologist's worst nightmare. Yeah, that's it. That works.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.